Welcome to Frank and Upfront. I am your host, Mr. Franklin. A very special welcome to all of you who are joining me here on this podcast. I invite you to like, comment, share, and subscribe. And don't forget to hit that notification bell so you can be notified of weekly uploads. Today's topic: the ultimate purpose, or I should say the ultimate destiny of SYSBM. But before I get into it, we have a bit of housekeeping here to take care of. There are two items of news I'd like to share. Both are good news. News number one: Antonio Batista got fired from his job because his racist rant went viral. He was talking about the looting taking place in Chicago and the Hispanic neighborhoods in Chicago being invaded by who many may suspect to be black people, black looters, but who may actually be outside instigators taking advantage of the confusion. We don't even know who these people are really, but he jumped to the conclusions that they're black people, right? Okay, so he is talking in reference to the Latin Kings protecting their neighborhood, which they're supposed to. But then he goes off on a completely racist rant, which is completely uncalled for. And the rant went completely viral, and it went right back to his employer, who, from what I was told, he worked for a trucking company. He was transporting goods for by driving a truck, right, or something similar. He was a truck driver. That much I do know. Okay. News went back to Antonio Batista, aka Chivio 2121, aka Butthead's boss, and the boss fired him. So now he's without a job. And I basically scanned his YouTube page just about now, and he literally only has 2 videos on there. But let me not ramble on any further. I will let you hear it straight from the horse's mouth, or in this case, straight from Butthead's mouth. Anyway, let's get started here.
Dominicans, Puerto Ricans, this is how the fuck you fucking do it, you fucking fucks, you pieces of shits. This is how you do it. Take this example. Stop fucking cocking for these fucking monkey people. These people are not your friends. They're not your fucking friends. Drop the shit. Let it fucking go. They don't. Stop the shit. Stop the fucking shit. Let these fucking jungle people kill themselves. Protect your neighborhood, put your people first. These 2 fucking Hispanic cocks, they get it first, and they get it worse than these fucking fucks. You got that? You got that? Let them go with the blacks. Let them go. May they be on the receiving end of our backlash. For their punishment will be 10 times worse than what we would give our enemies. If you are a fucking Dominican, want to be black, you better not be saying that we're black. You better not be saying that. You better not be saying that. You got that? Our people come first. First. Before them. Never put them first. Oh, and for those of you who listen to these coal-burning bitches, careful. If you see me, you die protecting your community, protecting your people. These fucking savages, they're gonna come in, you're gonna let them come in your neighborhood, rip up our businesses, rip up our, look at them, they were shooting at them. Why? Because they wanted in. That's why. This is what it comes down to. This is what it comes down to. You don't let these freaking animals do what they want in your freaking neighborhoods. Alright? Kick them out of our neighborhoods. Not today, yesterday. I'm tired of this shit. I'm tired of you motherfuckers trying to beat down with the blacks. All because you're afraid of being called racist? You're afraid of being called racist? You people are getting shot at in Chicago, and you're afraid of being called racist? Fuck that shit! Fuck that shit! Rip these fucks' heads off!
Wow, dude. Just wow. Dude had a complete meltdown on camera. Over what, though? But incidentally, you know. But go him too. But look at who I call people, black people, monkey and animal. And look at the way he's behaving. It is obvious who the real animal is in this picture. Look at the way he's behaving. You see anybody else behaving like that person? Do you see anybody else behaving like Antonio Batista? Huh? Buckle him too. Right and out order, come and call black people monkey. And look at the way he's behaving. What a piece of garbage. Anyway. Dude had a meltdown on camera. Your health should be more important, dude. Don't blow up artery now, don't burst the blood vessel now, you know, and raise the pressure up over the fact that, and you know what he really embarrassed about? He is embarrassed and upset that there are Dominicans and Puerto Ricans who are afraid of being called racist, and as such they are choosing to identify with black. That's what he's really mad about. So was this even worth you losing your job over, you idiot? You going on camera, going on the record, and having a meltdown, and spitting your corona spit all over the damn dashboard and steering wheel of the company truck where you work for, was worth you getting fired over because you're embarrassed that people whom you regard as your own are choosing to identify with black because they're afraid of being called racist? I really hope it was worth you losing your job over. That's all I gotta say. You're an idiot, man. Now, you remember in my response video to Chem123 and Cynthia G, where I said that this Hispanic man crossed the border by ill-gotten gains to come over here to America, to come fake friend you and be a hypocrite, to seek opportunity. But deep down inside, this is how he feels about you? Well, this video right here, put forth by Antonio Batista, aka Trivial2121, aka Butthead, is the prime example of what I was saying. You know about nothing more after that one there, when I just put out a while ago. What you just heard a while ago, you don't want, if that doesn't drive the point home for you, nothing else will. This is how this man truly feels about you. And this video basically sums up his feelings. Say no more. The video says it all. Say no more. The video speaks for itself, I should say. Right? Now that was news item number 1. Antonio Batista, aka Butthead, aka Trivio 2121, fired from his job for having a racist mental breakdown on camera, on the record, that went viral on the internet. That's number 1. Number 2, dum dum dum, Chem 123 exposed. There's never a dull moment in YouTube land. Anyway, so Chem 123 has recently been doxxed. I don't know exactly who did it. But there are several sources citing Chem 123's personal information. Apparently his real name is Javier Eric Romo. He lives in Maryland. He works in his family's landscaping business, not a construction business, as he keeps bragging about also braggadociously on YouTube about how he runs a construction business. Bullshit! It's a landscaping business owned by his family, not him himself, not Chem himself, not Javier Eric Romo himself. And he is only an employee in the family business, a landscaping business. Reminds me of an ex-supervisor of mine at one of my previous jobs who happens to be a member of Chem 123, aka Javier Eric Romo's persuasion, his ethnic persuasion. And the bitch would always say at work, "I'm not telling a lie, I'm simply stretching the truth." Yeah, well, that's what Eric Romo, Javier Romo, Chem 123 did. He stretched the truth by saying that the family's landscaping business is a construction business and that the family's business is owned by him personally and not the family. Lies. Anything, typical narcissist, anything to make yourself look better and more superior. This is this is why you mustn't lie, you know. Because you're going to be more embarrassed when the truth gets exposed eventually. And you're lying to put people down and make yourself seem superior and make people be jealous of you and feel inferior to you and all that. But then ultimately you're the only one who's really exposing yourself, you doofus. The only one who's exposing yourself and embarrassing yourself. And when the truth comes out, you're going to be very embarrassed. So the best thing you do is just keep your mouth shut. If you know your life is not on the up and up like you want it to be, the best thing you do is keep your mouth shut and work on yourself until you get to where you want to be in private. But anyway, reminds me of an old Jamaican proverb, "Show off will soon bring disgrace," which is similar to "Pride goeth before a fall." The two proverbs are similar. Show off, being a show off, being flashy and braggadocious, brings about disgrace. He was being braggadocious and now he's disgraced. So disgraced even that Chem 123 had to go off YouTube. Chem 123 had to deactivate his channel and go off YouTube and go into hiding for a while. This is exactly what my grandmother and them would say back in the islands: show off, being disgraced. This is exactly, without even knowing that this person exists, this is exactly the kind of situation that they were talking about. Now this dude has to run and go into hiding because the truth blew up in his face. right? And so let me reiterate one more time his information. His real name is Javier Eric Romo. He lives somewhere in Maryland, born sometime around December of 1987. That would make him 32 years old. And he works in his family's landscaping business, which is very typical for Mexican immigrants in America to do. It's either a taco truck or a landscaping business. Either or. Very typical. So anyway, and by the way, many thanks to the Andrew 26101 show and also the Kid Organic for exposing this buffoon racist troll. Let this be a lesson that crime will never pay, and that whatever you do in darkness must come to light, and that justice must be served to your victims. For anybody who may have felt bullied by this character, by these two characters, both Kem and Antonio Batista, I hope you feel somewhat vindicated now that they have met their comeuppance at the hands of their own arrogance and carelessness and narcissism. And let this let this not be a deterrent from you traveling. In fact, let it be an inspiration for you to travel for the better, just to rub it in their faces. That no matter what you do to troll people on the internet, you can't stop us from living our best lives. We'll do what we have to do. And these kind of characters will crash and burn before they ever stop us from being free and doing what we have to do as SYSBM agents. Okay, I think I've gone on long enough now. Time for the main topic at hand. Today's topic: the ultimate destiny of SYSBM. Now, segueing from last week's podcast, when the podcast was titled Earn in the West, Spend in the East, when I was trying to encourage people to economically divest from the West and from the Babylon system, and to actually pull your money out of the American banks and kind of invest offshore in an international destination of your choosing, I spoke of the idea, and I cannot emphasize this quite often enough. The idea that instead of seeking to be equal with those who are not even superior to you in the first place, though they try to make it seem that way, that you should instead instead of fighting for the reparations that you may never get, you should instead use your energy, redirect and re-challenge your energy into fighting for your GED. Yes, your GED. But no, not your high school diploma. Your global economic dominance. Your GED. Your global economic dominance. Right? You should fight for your global economic dominance and freedom to trade with trading allies of your choosing without the interference of systems of white supremacy, and trade among ourselves. And that should go for Black Americans in general, but those of us in MGTOW and SYSBM, we should know that all too well. We have been preaching about economic divestment since before any of these things started happening to trigger talks of pulling out of the system. We somehow saw the collapse of Western civilization. We were able to preemptively determine that. And we felt it best many years ago during so-called peace times, when things were so-called still normal, to pull out of this failing, crumbling, decaying system. Of course, our incentive was to find, our primary incentive was to find a loyal wife who would have our backs and allow us the domestic comforts of being able to come home to a peaceful home without the cas and the fighting going back and forth with grown-ups, with another grown-up much like yourself. That might have been the primary incentive, but a secondary incentive could have been to economically divest and seek business opportunities wherever they may be available. So we were, with that said, we were way ahead of the game. We were thinking this far ahead, even during so-called peacetime, because, I mean, the only thing that kept this so-called peacetime together was that nobody was revolting. So it wasn't peacetime, it's just that one side of the conflict decided to concede victory to the other side. Momentary, until something like this would trigger a revolution. It was not a permanent concession on their part. It was temporary, it was momentary. So it wasn't truly peacetime, it was just a time of passivity. It was a passive time. True peace is not given, and true peace it would not see one side suffering in silence while the other side has all the victory. True peace can only be one, can only be seized and won, same as true power can only be seized and won. But I, you know something, I digress. I digress because my original point is that before any of these things happened, MGTOW and SYSBM were well ahead of the game insofar as being able to accurately predict something like this happening. We didn't even know what 2020 would present to us. We didn't know about the coronavirus, didn't know about the racial tensions or any of that. All we knew was that somehow, we didn't even know what year these things would be happening or that they would be happening in the first place. But somehow we knew that sooner or later, Western civilization will collapse and crumble under the weight of its own narcissism and its entitlement and its greed and its wastefulness, its disrespectful wastefulness, disrespectful to those who are starving and hungry and maybe have less than you. And you don't even have to look halfway around the world in Africa or Asia to see those situations. They're literally in the inner city communities of your very city where you live. All of this would cause Western civilization to collapse under the weight of its very own selfish, greedy, entitled, narcissistic, wicked, debaucherous, vitriolic, decadent ways. Babylonian, Romanic, paganistic ways. Yeah, this is Rome version 2.0. America is basically Rome and Greece, ancient Rome and ancient Greece version 2.0. And ancient Babylon version 2.0. Yep. Just in case you haven't figured it out. It's even in the architectural design of the infrastructure of their banks and courthouses, for crying out loud. How could you miss that? Anyway. They're telling you what they are, and they're telling you their origin and where they come from. Because after the collapse of the Roman Empire, I do believe that many of the Romans who survived actually went and integrated themselves into other European nations, like, for example, England and France and Germany and Belgium and all those places. And maybe even Spain and obviously Italy, right? Obviously Italy. And yes, even Israel too. That's where those white Yiddish Semitic Jews come from. Because the Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob in the Bible were not frugal hypochondriacs. So these Yiddish Jews with the little curly sideburns from Williamsburg, Brooklyn, had to come from somewhere. And they didn't come from Abraham's tribe either. Those are ancient Romans who have captured other people's nationalities and cultures and have managed to somehow integrate into those cultures. So they're telling you exactly what they are. This is Rome 2.0. For sure. So sooner or later, Rome version 2.0 will collapse under the weight of its very own narcissism and wickedness. And we were able to see that unless we pull our resources and our liquid assets and our investments and even our family and our children out of this place, the whole thing will go to shit. When the purge begins and they release all the criminals out of prison and they actually legalize all criminal acts for like a 24-hour period, we know that if we stay here, we're going to be screwed. Unless we got guns and hand grenades and assault rifles and all those things. Unless our defense capabilities could rival that of the criminal gangs and the ex-convicts who are released from jail and the cops who will be joining them too, we're screwed. So we have been warning society in general for a long time now. This has been a long time coming, and they laughed at us, they mocked us, they said, oh, we're incels. They actually even compared us to incels as a shaming tactic to say, oh, you guys are lame, you can't get laid, now you mad, right? Which there are some incels who do join our groups and we invite them to, so-called incels, because like I keep saying, there is no such thing as an incel. So so-called incels, there are some so-called incels who join our groups, and we allow them to, and they should. And particularly if they can get knowledge and insight from our groups on how to improve their lives going forward, then yeah. But that doesn't mean all of us are incels. But the narcissistic, decadent people who profit from the status quo of this society, definitely are using that as a shaming tactic to say that we're lame and we're running away from our women, we're running away from our problems, we're divesting. They make up names and call us dusty divestors, and we're dusty derelicts, and the feminists, the angry feminists who doesn't want us having any other options outside of them so they can do what they will and we still be there. The jealous Hispanic male who wants to feel like he's superior to you, black man, and he'll do whatever it takes to prove it. And when he's not getting his way, he's not feeling superior enough to you, he gets his woman to be a cock tease and lead you on just so she could reject you and make you feel small. All of those wicked things. Yeah, these are all the attacks that they come with. When if they were smart, they would heed our warning and actually get the hell out of Dodge, man. But no. They choose instead to use shaming tactics. To put us down. They love this system. Here's what people don't realize. They love this system and they would rather stay here and be the white man's slave if you get to be their slave. And when you no longer want to be their slave, you upset the balance of that dynamic and it throws their whole system off balance and they need you back. It's not the same if you're not there. It only makes sense if you're there under them. You see how that works? Apart from that, they have no problem being in the system and being the slave to the system and the people who run it. No problem whatsoever. They love the system. They love it. They'd rather stay here and burn with the system, but that's on them though. But then they don't think that we are leaving either. They don't think we should have the right to leave either, because the whole entire notion of them being okay with being under the system is predicated upon them being superior to you. You have to be at the bottom, and they don't mind being in the middle. But they gotta have their boots on your neck though. So when they see you leaving though, it really upsets them. It sends a message and tells them that, hey, you're not superior to us. We have a mind of our own. We have our own willpower, our own thought process. And we don't agree with this system. Even if you actually had the guts to verbalize your thought processes to us, even if that's the case, we still wouldn't agree with it. But even though you're such a coward and you're not being direct and coming out with it, basically, we could still kind of read between the lines and we kind of see what you're saying. And even while playing dumb, acting like we don't get what you're saying, we are not thinking on your wavelength. We are just going to go do our own thing. Right? It upsets them. It infuriates them. So they are, whatever helpful advice we have to offer them, they're not going to be thankful for it because they love the system. They're not going anywhere. Instead, what they'll do is shame us for leaving. Even though we're right and the events of the current climate proves that we're right. And the whole world is now seeing how right we are. Doesn't matter though. But there are people who are going to need help when the crap hit the fan and shit really gets bad out here. There are people who are going to need our help, and if we didn't take the initiative and leave first, who would be there to help them? Who would really be there to help them? They'll be hopeless and they'll be at the mercy of the system. And I already told you though that there's no power in eating at someone's mercy. So they'll be at the mercy of the system and there'll be no one here to help them. Right? But that won't be the case. Because in segueing to my main topic, the ultimate destiny of SYSBM, we gotta come back and get them. When we build ourselves up and we gain economic dominance externally, we have to come back and get our fellow brethren, our fallen soldiers who are still out here in the Matrix. Those who are willing to receive help. At the same time, we also have to accept that there are those who truly don't want help. We can't help them. We just have to let them, leave them to their own devices. But for those who are serious about receiving help, we have to give them the assistance that they need in the same way that we would have wanted assistance if we were in their shoes, when we were in their shoes, in our past, in our youth, in our early adult lives when we felt hopeless. We need to be the hero we would have wanted back in those days. And we need to be the catalyst for change in the world. And we need to lead by example. We can't just keep preaching till the tongues fall out. We have to start leading by example. And we have to give people ideas by example. And those who think it's an attractive idea, they're more than free to consult with us. And we will advise them on how, or they can maybe take notes based on our actions, based solely on our actions. They can take notes and try to effectuate what they see us doing. The battle cry of the United States Marine Corps, no man left behind. We have to adopt the battle cry of the Marine Corps in our SYSBM movement as well. No man left behind. We gotta come back and get those who need help. Those who are willing to be helped. Those who are willing to pull their weight and not be a burden on us. Those who are willing to contribute. Those who are willing to contribute and to give back, to have their own ideas, to bring their own ideas, to pool our ideas into a brain pool or a brain trust. And to give back and turn around and help those who themselves have been left behind. And continue the cycle of turning around and reaching back to help those who are in need of help. In last week's podcast, I said that we should rebuild Black Wall Street, not within the confines of the Babylon system, but externally, and perhaps there can be several Black Wall Streets at several different locations around the world. Black Wall Street can be resurrected in expat communities globally. Right? But then many of those expats are going to need support. They're going to need support adjusting and settling into their new location. They are going to need resources, monetary resources, school supplies, food supplies, water supply, and all those things. Military aid, financial supplies. When we get to where we need to be and we have achieved global economic dominance around the world, and Black Wall Street has been resurrected in several expat locations around the world to the point where they don't even know where or who to attack. And by they, of course, I do mean the Babylon system. They don't know which one of our Black Wall Streets to attack because there's so many of them. When we get to that place and we have the financial backings, we need to act as the international governing body of those expat communities, similar to the UN or similar to UNICEF or Amnesty. In a similar fashion, we need to be the global governing body of all the expat communities. We need to use the Ethernet I was talking about to keep those communities in touch. No matter how far away we are, we need to be the common liaison by which those communities can be kept in touch until we're able to travel and link up at a summit. And we need to be the non-nationalistic, or perhaps I should say the multinationalistic global governing body of the black American expat communities, where we lend aid and supplies to those who are in need. We need to have actual agents, actual boots on the ground who could lend military aid to those who need it. You would be military trained and your capabilities would rival that of our adversaries. And wherever there is strife, wherever there is suffering, wherever there is oppression in the world, wherever there is persecution, wherever there is prejudice, a part of keeping the alliance strong is to lend aid and support to those in need. In the same way that the Cubans have aided many black empowerment causes around the world. And in the same way that the most black majority nation outside of Africa, well, let me rephrase that. In the same way that the most, I should say, the most black conscious, yeah, in the same way that the most black conscious black nation outside of Africa was willing to join the Cubans in their aiding black empowerment causes. I'm talking about Jamaica now. So in the same way that the Jamaicans and the Cubans were willing to aid black empowerment causes globally, to lend military aid to the coup d'etat that was taking place in Uganda and so forth, and to lead the embargo against South Africa during the apartheid. We can be inspired by their actions to lend aid to those who are in need. We can deliver clean drinking water to those in Africa who may need it, and food to the malnourished, and a pair of shoes to someone who needs them to go to school, a bus pass for the student who has to walk 10 miles to school every day. We need to change lives and improve lives wherever that we see suffering and strife and oppression. So if there's a greedy, corrupt warlord who's using a boy militia to lead his coup d'etat, we need to rescue those boys and get them out of there. If protesters are being tear gassed and shot with rubber bullets in the streets of Chicago or LA or Minneapolis, we need to step in and take their side against the oppressive, brutal force. Wherever there is criminality, if we can fund job training and job placement for the youth in the inner city, perhaps it is less likely that they will turn to the gun for the sake of survival or end up on the street peddling drugs and so forth. If we have the resources to help, we should. To whom much is given, much is required. If we can buy books and pencils and other stationeries for students to go to school, we should do that too. And the only thing we ask of them in return is to spread the word and help others, same as how you have been helped, that the goodness you receive today can go back around to help someone tomorrow and will come right back around to you. The goodness you put out into the world, you'll be surprised to know it could come right back around to you in the future. That's all we ask in return. Keep paying it forward. Keep the cycle spreading. Keep the ball spinning. If there are Islamic girls who have been kidnapped from their schools because they dare to learn and to be educated, like what happened in 2014 when Boko Haram kidnapped those Nigerian girls, we can go find them and rescue them. We can do our part to be the crusaders of justice in the world. If they're going to defund the police, then they're definitely going to be needing a replacement. If they're going to police the police, then who better than the very vigilante group who knows what oppression feels like. In that way, we can serve true justice, the way justice was meant to be served. We can rescue those who have been abducted from their homes and their schools, those who need military aid in fighting off the oppressors as they're protesting peacefully like they're supposed to. They only get violent when their peaceful protests are met with rubber bullets and tear gas and them being mowed down by police cruisers. That's basically the police telling them, you are a pawn in this game. You will not tell me how to run this city. You will not tell me how to police the city. And this is me showing you your place. So if your peaceful protests are met with that kind of mentality and that kind of resistance, and you're out there protesting, you don't have the defense capabilities to guard against that level of brutality. You don't even have bulletproof vest or armor or helmets, and they have guns and shields and tear gas. You're going to need an external force to step in and intervene on your behalf. And that's where we come in. Now, with that said, narcissists are everywhere. Why we even have them in SYSBM and even in MGTOW too. My only hope is that what started out as a humble crusade to deliver vigilante justice to the world will not be corrupted and become as greedy and powerful as the very force that now oppresses us. The last thing we'd want to do is to become our oppressors. We must hold on to our ideals, for goodness sake. Our true ideals, our core values. We must hold on to that. And we must stay true to our core values, to serve and protect those who need it, to deliver aid to those who need it, to deliver support to expat communities and individual members of it who may be needing help settling down in a new town. People who need job training, job development, and job placement ultimately. People who need help starting up their own business. People who have been abducted and used and exploited for labor or sexual or human trafficking or sex trafficking, or to serve in the militia as part of a coup d'etat or whatever it is. People who need to be rescued, we'll be there for them. People who need us to intervene on their behalf as they're protesting peacefully and ensure that their rights to protest in accordance with the First Amendment of the Constitution of the United States is being protected, we'll be there. We will intervene on their behalf and we'll police the police. That the people have the right to protest peacefully. But ultimately, those who need help escaping the matrix, we need to develop a program to help those who are willing to escape the matrix. A program that will entail step-by-step suggestions as to what routes they could take, how to save money, how to pay off their debt. How to choose their location based on geographical viability and based on the inflation of the local currency and based on climate as well. No black person should live any place where it snows and there's winter every day. And yeah, we should be where it's sunny, like in Texas or Arizona or California or even in Central America or the Caribbean or Africa or Southeast Asia. No black person should be living any place. You shouldn't be looking out your window and seeing gray skies and naked trees and white for miles and miles and miles. That wasn't meant for us. Anyway, we have the melanin in our skins, so we can withstand the sun, and we need to be where there's an abundance of sunshine, so we could absorb the natural. We could naturally absorb the vitamin D through our skin, through the UV rays. Right? So, we need to design programs to come back and get our people out of Babylon. We need to help them decide where to invest, what to invest in, and so forth. And keep advising people on how to divest from the West. So with all that said, the long and short of it all, the ultimate destiny of SYSBM, once we gain global economic dominance, no man left behind. Let's come back and get our guys out of here. That's our destiny. And with that said, next week's topic, the narcissism of homophobia. I hope you'll join me then. I am Mr. Franklin. This has been Frank and Upfront.